This Mercury Uranus conjunction really getting the best of me. If it's not the batteries, the memory, it's all sorts of things. So this is part 3 of our weekly forecast, and right now we are on still on Wednesday with a more beautiful aspect, which is Venus in Cancer sextile in Mars that's going to be in Taurus. And so this aspect is going to be quite beautiful as it links desire with action. Venus usually shows us what we want to attract, and Mars is how we pursue it. And so initially, we had Venus in Gemini, so we are a bit more playful, flirtatious, creative. Mars bringing in boldness and courageousness. So there's a bit of social courage and charm with how we move and how we attract and interact with people. But now these energies are going to be shifting. Venus is more protective, more nurturing, more motherly qualities, making people comfortable, and hopefully they make you feel comfortable so you guys could be more than friends but family. And so that type of family type of energy. And Mars is going to be in Taurus, which is more patient and calm and slow to anger, but doing things in a more protective way. And so this is a time where we could be deepening certain relationships and deepening our connection with people, places, and things that are going to be serving the seed that we've been planting. And I'm trying to speed it up because I know my battery is going to die shortly. And that was the 19th. And then we have a break on the 20th, and then Sun goes into Gemini, and we're going to come back and do a whole video about the Sun moving into Gemini, which is going to fully catch up with all of the other planets that are already interacting in Gemini. And so we do have just a few more days in the Tower season, which is focused on being grounded and resources and the body and the money and stability and the food and self-worth values and all of that type of stuff. But we're shifting. There's a shift happening. And so we got to be preparing ourselves to be more mutable, versatile, adaptable, flexible to circumstances, situations, and things that are going to be happening. And like I'm already having experiences with that. It happens on a day-to-day basis, but it's becoming more prominent. And so a shift is upon us. Gemini season, we're going to be focusing on learning and speaking and networking and movement and curiosity and ideas and things that are happening in our local community. And so we need to start priming our mind because Mercury is already there, Venus is already there, Moon is already there, Uranus is already there. The aspects are already aspecting them there. So soon our actions are going to be getting there. And so we need to keep our eye on the prize. But just remember that we have all of these other influences influencing and affecting us as we go about this week. All right, guys. So with all of this information, what do we got to do? What is valuable? Taurus is asking, what is valuable? Okay? Remember the seed that you planted. Remember the goal. Remember the intentions. Remember what you're trying to manifest. Gemini is going to be asking us, how do you think about it? How do you process the information? How do you communicate about it? Okay? Taurus is asking what you're building. Gemini is asking, what do you need to know? Let's get more curious. Let's get more information. Let's network. Let's know more people. Let's shake and bake and add a bit more movement and talk more about and promote more about, or discuss or learn more about, what we're trying to do in terms of the goals. If it's the example about the car, I like talking about the car because I'm getting a new car. I got many cars actually and many houses. So the new house and the new car and the new garments, all of that type of stuff. Taurus is asking us to plant seeds, and we already plant the seeds. And so Gemini is saying, yo, what's the update? What's the information that's going to help these seeds to grow? Okay. I lied. This reading goes up until the 24th, and so we do have a few more days. On the 22nd, like I see here, Venus is going to square Neptune. This is going to be a bit more delicate. Neptune, we could see this as the higher octane of Venus. Venus being love, appreciation, beauty, attractiveness, but Venus is romanticizing and what's the word? Emphasizing and making things more grandeur and more fantasy, right? And so with Venus being in Cancer, we are protective, we're nurturing, we're taking care of things. But this square is going to be a bit more difficult aspect, as Neptune is romanticizing and bringing in idealism and this sort of emotional confusion and blurring the lines between, what's current and what could be, and just the dynamics between bridging that gap. And so Neptune might want to come in as, like, some sort of hero to try to make things appear to be much better than it is, or just confuse the lens when it comes to love and money and pleasure and these sort of things. And so you got to be careful with Neptune, because Neptune is like a joint. It could make people get high and out of their minds in a little way. Neptune is in Aries, and so visions. Aries wants to be courageous, again, impulsive and acting out on your visions. And so Cancer is a bit more conservative, right, and protective. And so the square, you may feel the urge to want to do a bit more, say a bit more, be a bit more dramatic, or it may lead you to want to run away from the reality when it comes to your home and your domestic situations. So you got to be careful with that one as well. And the 22nd, Mercury is going to sextile Saturn. This sort of stabilizes things, because Jan knows that Mercury running away in Gemini is havoc. And so Saturn being able to solidify things. Mercury is going to be conjuncting Uranus, sextiling Neptune, trining Pluto. And so your mind is going to be all over, right? And so the one grounding factor, apart from the sun, which is going to slowly slide into